How's it going, everyone? I'm Pro Vigilance, here with another video for you guys. It's been a long weekend and I've been celebrating my son's 5th birthday. Man, do they grow up fast. It seems we've had a dev Q&A for Neverwinter to cover, so before we jump into things, I'd like to remind everyone to hit that like button if you enjoy the video, and to subscribe if you enjoy my content. Both help me grow the channel, and more importantly, reach out to a greater amount of the community. With all of that said, let's get straight into things. The dev stream for Neverwinter's Q&A was with the executive producer Brett Norton and the community manager Julia Fredrickson. A fair amount of information was covered, so I just wanted to make a short video real quick to address some of those things. The first question that was brought up that I got to was Tower of the Mad Mage. The difficulty had been raised on it, and so the question was more addressed in the fashion of, are we going to see it brought down in difficulty at all in the near future? They had both mentioned that Zariel and Crown of Keldagon, things of that nature, those trials, they're trying to keep it in line with more of those. They do drop some sought-after gear, like the Lionheart weapons, for instance, that are still viable for players in the game. So they want to keep the difficulty somewhat challenging for those kinds of trials. There's no plans to rework or reduce the difficulty from where it's currently been raised to, and additionally there's no current plans to really bring in an effective random advance queue for the Tower of the Mad Mage. I will say that they did seem optimistic when they were talking about the addition of it in the future, but it's currently not in the works at the moment. As of the making of this video, for the upcoming Friday, which is going to be August the 5th, 2022, it is slotted to be the announcement of when the new Battle Pass features and progression rewards will be coming out for the next small content update. And they did drop during the stream at one point that it is going to be featuring Rothe Valley. It's going to have a new epic adventure and all sorts of cool, unique rewards that we're going to be seeing. We'll see when that comes time, when they do cover those rewards, if they will be as useful as they say they are. But they seem pretty optimistic about that. One of the questions had brought up, will crossplay be available at any time, in the near future or even in the late future? Currently, they have no plans for it whatsoever. Due to technical stringency, you got economies for all the different platforms, being the exchange for Astral Diamonds to Zen and vice versa. Lots of platform-specific issues would be one of the biggest challenges for them to overcome, and they just said it's currently not in the works, not even a plan in their future for crossplay. Accessibility for things like color blindness, they are looking into things of that nature. Again, didn't give a date on it, but they're aware that that is one of the things that they would need to work on in the future, and they wanted to highlight that as well. One of the questions featured what are we doing with the roadmap. They had mentioned one's coming soon, but they never really highlighted when to see that. They just mentioned they're trying to feature a long-term roadmap. And actively, it's currently being worked on. There is a version, but it's for internal display only, and it's pending approvals from all the other departments. So to be determined on the release. He's hoping for within like a couple of months that we'll see something surface as far as a roadmap goes. Question was brought up about legacy characters. In the upcoming week is when we're said to see some kind of a new content drop, and it's gonna update all things that currently the legacy characters are taking advantage of, disabling the boons and the different things that they're taking advantage of from like old character stuff several mods ago. And they're saying that it'll no longer work and or be accessible from this point on when they do the update. And again, he had said in the upcoming week, but he said it could take a week or two for the update to come out. Tank shield glitch. When you die, a lot of tanks have been reporting, myself included, that when you die with your shield raised as a standard block, that currently it is making an inability to use a scroll, call out for help, release even, and you just have to sit there and watch the timer go down and absolutely can't do anything about it. They are aware of the issue, but right now they've ran into an issue where they can't actually get it to pop up when testing in isolation. It's just not seen enough to be able to tackle it. So they're aware of it, they're currently working with it, and I'm glad to hear that they finally are. The issue's been around for several years, and it's good to see that they're finally giving it some attention. It is a little unfortunate that they haven't seen as much with it happening in their test servers, but hopefully they'll be able to at some point and get that issue solved. Another issue that they were made aware of and they were asked about was the cleric mark. For those of you that play cleric, marking somebody tends to put them into combat even when you're out of combat sometimes. They've mentioned that they're aware of it and they're going to be trying to look into it getting fixed in the future, but again, to be determined. There's no date that was given for it. The wizard rework was another popular question for the stream. A lot has been done with it. They said that they've been working with one of their developers, Robert, and has been working with certain members with the community though, and reaching out to them, asking about the wizards, you know, where are they strong, where are they weak, you know, what can be improved. And currently they just said that we shouldn't be looking around for an update as of right now. They said it will be soon, but not quite to the point of where it's going to be like, you know, in August, for instance. I think in a previous stream they had mentioned also it was going to be looked at more closer towards mod 24 when we'll see something drop for the wizard. I had asked a question during the stream. I had said, now I'm basically an avid D&D player, and I was looking into, you know, what's the possibilities of seeing something like multiclassing and coming into the Neverwinter game. And they had said that, you know, it is something that they're also, you know, wanting to have happen, but there's just a lot involved with it. They're not going to promise anything with it. They're aware that a lot of people find it very cool and very interesting because there's so many options, you know, mixing something like a fighter and a wizard, or a paladin and a warlock, you know, barbarian with a cleric. I mean, it just, the options are endless, and it makes for some really cool variables for the game. But they acknowledged that, you know, it's going to be a very big challenge for them from a technical standpoint as well as a balance standpoint, and that it's nothing that we should really be looking forward to in the immediate sense. They said it would be on the level of something like a major update for the game, kind of like whenever they add a new class. And I'm sure it even goes above and beyond that too, because you're working with several classes, combining properties from, you know, 2 different sources, and finding a balance for that would be challenging. But it would also bring a lot of flavor to the game, and I think that it would promote a lot of things for even, you know, the longest term player, you know, who's been around since the beginning even, a nice challenge to find something that would be a cool mix to do. So on to the next question. This one's actually from Galactic. He had mentioned, you know, when Dragonflight was slotted to be a Stronghold update recently, he wanted to know why that was and why it was only Dragonflight. Basically, Brett had mentioned that this one was for theatric reasoning. It paired well with Dragon Slayer content, changing how dragons appear, how they fight you, you know, with their new mechanics, how difficult they are versus how difficult they were before. Updating older dragons is something they're trying to do right now with some of the older content, so I'm sure that down the road we'll probably see like Caverns of Karundax maybe update their red dragon. You know, it wasn't discussed in the stream, but that's something I could actually see them doing down the road if they're trying to replace dragons with these newer ones. So, because it fit that theme right now of the dragon content with the Dragon Slayer content being active, they wanted to go and visit the Stronghold and take care of those 4 things as well. 4 dragons, I should say. Weekly progress for old campaigns. One of the questions had basically been said about this. Progression's pretty slow. You can get to your weekly haul and you can't do anything more with the progression for something like Sharandar, for instance. And so the question was posed, you know, is there going to be a way to get rid of some of those gates that restrict you from being able to level up so much per week? And they've said that they're looking into it. They were looking into specifically Avernus, Sharandar, Descent into Avernus. And they said that they're getting to that point, but they haven't quite got there. Tradebar Store update. This one was posed a lot in the question thread. People were asking, you know, are they going to have an update for the Tradebar Store? What are we going to have see in there featured? It's something they're looking into again, but just not the immediate future. Like, it's the next thing we're going to see. Displacer Beast Whisker drop rates. So this was asked, you know, right now it's really hard to get the reagents to make these Mastercraft weapons, and seeing as Displacer Beast Whiskers are the most expensive right now because of the drop rates and how much they're needed, it was asked, if we're going to see any kind of a fix implemented to increase those rates. And they both had talked a bit on it and said that a fix is planned, and it's to substantially increase those drop rates, in particular for the Displacer Beast Whiskers. And we're probably not going to see it next week, but sometime after that. He pretty much said soon, and he said hopefully less than a month or so. So I'd say within the next few weeks would be reasonable to say. Just don't quote me on that. Again, they said it's a loose term, soon. Boon updates. One of the people in the thread had mentioned that they wanted to see, we're going to see in the future the ability to spend them in several categories that currently are restricted. You're not only able to put so many boon points into like tier 4 and master boons and stuff like that. Basically what they had said was that it's been discussed. They want to see at some point more useful and more interesting boons come into play as well. As the possibility for characters to have all their boons be able to get something special for, you know, having all their boons. They're going to need more time on it, they said, and the roadmap, it's currently on it, but it's further down the roadmap. So if the roadmap is designed to be long-term, we're probably going to see it, you know, several months down the road. Stronghold updates, further, more so than just the dragons and stuff like that for Dragonflight. They said it's not going to be a huge portion of the next update. They are looking at better options for things like gear and some of the different vendor stuff. More endgame effectiveness being implemented for things like the influence. If you're a Guildhall 20 and you're just stacking up that influence, they were thinking about making it something more effective because of the influence and allowing you to invest that a little bit more. Band of Air. This was one of the biggest questions and more so the topic that was brought up by Brett and Julia a bit in this Q&A. So they said that we are to expect substantial changes with the process of how the Band of Air and the Ring of Darkness work. Robert, the other individual working with them on this, is currently one of his main focuses at the moment, and we were told to expect these changes to be implemented in the near future, probably before the next big release for content. So I would expect that to be Mod 24, so that means we're probably going to see it drop before then. Though the changes are to be expected and in a drastic nature, they said that, you know, it's currently proccing off a lot of things unexpectedly and unintentionally as well. He mentioned that they intend for Band of Air to still be the best in slot ring for the game, even after the nerf. So if you're questioning, should I still go grind that ring out? You know, is it going to be worth it afterwards? According to Brett, yes. You guys should definitely still keep grinding for that ring. Yes, it's getting a huge nerf. They're taking that into consideration when it comes to, you know, difficulty within, you know, trial dungeons and stuff like that. They're going to see huge damage fall off because of, you know, how it's been performing so far. They're aware of that's going to make a big impact in the game, so they're trying to adjust fire accordingly to, for that. And they had also mentioned that the Ring of Darkness, they want that to also be competitive. As of right now, it's mainly like a tank/healer ring because of the debuff it gives out, but they want to make it more competitive and more interesting as well. They don't plan to make any better rings in the near future, or even in the long-term future as they see it right now, especially with the amount of effort that players have to go through right now to earn one of those rings. They said that this is going to be, you know, kind of the end-all be-all ring for a while. Yes, they're going to come out with other ones, but they want this to kind of be one of those top-tier rings that's going to be out there for a while. They are hoping for sometime in the next month to implement these changes. It was also mentioned a little later in the stream that the drop rates for the reagents needed to make the rings will also be added in around the same time when the big update comes out for the nerf. So kind of one big update featuring the reagents and the changes to the rings is what we're going to be looking at. And again, that should be sometime within the next month is what they had said. Just no date specific yet. And they also said, you know, if it does take a little bit longer than a month, they just said that they want to try to bring it out before the next big update. Revamping older things. They mentioned that a systematic overhaul for all things that were older is something that they're looking into. And the problem is it has to be tackled within reason. So current projects that they're really focused on at the moment is quality of life enhancement. enhancements. They didn't really say much more about the topic. They just said quality of life enhancements. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see what that means. And again, no date for that. The next update is a smaller one. They're aiming to push out this next battle pass and whatnot prior to the release of Module 24. They said it'll be set to drop before the end of the year sometime. Again, no date, but it's to be determined. They just said that their current projections of the next big update are going to be before the end of the year. As many of you probably know, there is a Dungeons & Dragons movie coming out. If you haven't already seen it, there's several trailers featuring, the new movie and what it's going to look like, who's acting in it, things of that nature. And we saw a Druid in the trailer. Someone had asked in the Q&A stream, Druids, are we going to see them? Are they going to be kind of featured at all because of the new movie coming out? The movie and the game are two separate things. They do work with Wizards of the Coast, but there's a lot of middleman kind of stuff going on. So they said that, any kind of impact from the movie being seen over here in Neverwinter, it's being considered, but there's a lot of hoops and obstacles they're going to have to overcome for that to happen. And they just said currently not to expect anything, but, that there could always be something thrown into the mix down the road. Druids, though, specifically, he says he will not confirm or deny anything with Druids at this time. I just want to add, whenever someone usually says that they will not confirm or deny, personally, I take that as, yeah, it's being considered. But they just don't want to spoil anything, or maybe it's a cool idea, they're working with it, but it might be too challenging and it might be too early to say whether or not we'll actually see it in the game. So, I mean, I'm going to say remain hopeful, but if you were to ask, any of the devs, they're probably going to tell you just, don't count on it for right now, but we can't say yes or no. And that's the general gist of what I got from that question in the dev stream. Adding ways to let, things like Shards of Empowerment, Insignia Dust, basically rewards that aren't gear. This was a question, again, posed by Galactic, and he was saying, it was replied that the chest reward, Rework, was the beginning to some of that stuff. And they would like to implement it a little bit further in the future, but they're kind of taking it in slow chunks, updating it here and there as they go. They didn't give any dates for any kind of updates for that stuff, but just to watch for it. And they're still planning and talking about more ways to improve that system. Content difficulty, someone had asked, if current content was looking at being made a little easier, I guess. So they've had a lot of issues they've mentioned in this question with dragons, killing them in one hit, or some of their mechanics nearly killing them, and having that happen a lot. And basically, the developers had said, we're not going to do anything about that right now. There's a lot of builds out there that are glass cannon builds. We're designed to do a lot of damage, and we're not really designed to take any damage whatsoever. So they basically just responded simply saying that we need to consider more defensive options, such as a green slime companion as a bonus companion slot, just for survivability. Those kinds of changes, will make it so we could take a little bit more damage and survive some of those one-shot hits that are happening. And currently there's no plans to reduce that difficulty level. You just got to make some changes if you want to adjust for that survivability. And again, right now, we all know it. We're all set up for glass cannon builds, which basically means we're maximizing our damage at the cost of our defenses. So just consider some new build options out there if you guys are having a hard time with the dragons. Honestly, from an end game perspective, the ones I've been running with some of my guild members, they've been going just fine. Just get yourself a really nice tank that's able to hold that aggro, and a healer that can keep up with the mechanics that the dragon keeps pumping out. And make sure you guys are using your dodges and stuff at the right times. You can actually block or roll or slip, whatever your mechanic is, out of a lot of those hits. That's getting off topic though. Alright, back to the questions. So weapon enchants. This was asked, are we going to be seeing more usable enchantments come in, or is there going to be more illusions that we can look at in the near future? They are considering adding in some new stuff down the road. They didn't hint anything to what we're going to look at seeing, or any possible illusions. They just mentioned that there is plans for more down the road. Knoxbox was asked about, you know, are we going to see it coming back? How often and when can we expect to see it? They basically just replied saying it's definitely not going to be like an event, you know, throughout the year, multiple releases here and there. They're saying it's going to be coming back at some point, but they're not really featuring it as like a constantly returning item that's going to be obtainable in the game. So when it comes out is when it comes out. We can expect to see it again in the future, but again, to be determined and no set timeline for it. Storyteller Journals, this was asked about. Are we going to be seeing new journals coming into play that run similar to the Storyteller Journals? Or are we going to be seeing the event return? They said probably unlikely due to the fact that that's not really how they want their artifacts to be used right now. That's not what they're expecting to bring in as new Storyteller Journals or anything. No current plans. And they said it's probably unlikely to see the event at the moment just because of the way that it was working. You had some that were really fast, and you had other ones that were taking forever, and they're just trying to find a good balance for it, and it just hasn't been working out lately. So at the moment, currently no plans. There is a revision planned in the future to overhaul old items and drops from older campaigns. Sharandar was highlighted specifically in this question when it was asked, and things like shattered diamond shards, for example, right now they're pretty hard to obtain. Only select a few things give it. So when it was asked about in the dev stream, basically they had said that this is something that they're looking to do, is increase some of the old drop rates for things like that. But currently there's no date set in time, you know, place for this to happen, and they're just considering it for the future. One of the questions was regarding Antiheroes, and instead of things like Companions of the Hall, those are, you know, just heroes that are seen in the campaign, and some of the people were talking about wanting to see anti-heroes and something featuring them, like new companions, for instance. It's kind of funny that how he responded to this. Brett had kind of laughed and smiled about it. He just said it's being looked into, but seriously, he was emphasizing no spoilers. There will, and he can't confirm or deny anything, there will be some new things coming up in the near, you know, several months. But he's saying that we can look forward to it. And based on the fact that he said that about this, there's a good chance we'll see something themed like that. But again, he was very big on saying no spoilers, can't confirm or deny anything. So the next part, again, just a couple more things here. Tiamat updates, we can look for it in about a month or so. Same thing with Demogorgon. Demogorgon's difficulty has been worked on, both the Master and the Random Advanced Cube versions. At the moment, there's still no ETA on when it's going to be complete. It's close, and they mentioned that it would be set to finish and be ready for reintroduction in about a couple weeks. But again, nothing solid as for a date yet. It's close, and he's hoping for a couple weeks. And the last closing topic, they just wanted to remind everybody, since it was kind of dropped during this stream, next week, as of the making of this video, Rothe Valley will be featured with a battle pass and a new epic adventure. So definitely go and check those things out. Again, on Friday, they plan on doing a bit of a reveal for the battle pass and what kind of rewards we can expect to see, and ultimately we can kind of determine whether or not it's going to be worth it to buy the premium side of it or just farm the free side of it, and how it's going to work out with the new area. But that's going to wrap up my video, guys. As I mentioned before, smash that like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to follow me in more future content, and let me know what you guys' thoughts are in the comment section below. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day.